Hello book lovers, and welcome back, or welcome to Natcat's Bookish Cafe. Today I'm here to start a new vlog. This is gonna be kind of a travel vlog. I will be reading during this vlog. Hopefully, this is kind of replacing my Queer Mech Robot vlog that I was doing because I am slumping hard, and so I have had to quit that because I got through one book, which was the novella, and then I just stopped picking up books for like a week. So we are gonna go ahead and wipe the slate clean. We're gonna leave those books behind. I don't think I can bring myself to pick up any queer robot sci-fi books right now because they are what started the slump. I don't really think they are at fault for the slump, but they are the books that I started reading when I really got into the slump. So right now my brain is like, we can't read those. We can't read those anymore. But I did want to go ahead and vlog my experience going to South Carolina. I'm going with my mom and my sister. My mom's cousin lives there, so we are visiting her and her spouse, and we will be in the Charleston area, I believe. I've never been to South Carolina. I have heard that these states are very beautiful, so I'm excited to finally get to see them. I know we've been wanting to see them for a while. It is supposed to be hot, like I think it's supposed to be like in the 80s, and it's supposed to be very humid, so you're gonna see me with some frizzy hair throughout this. I'm gonna be fighting for my life against that humidity. Talking about fighting for my life, we are going to be leaving tomorrow. We are actually leaving the house tonight and staying at a hotel by the airport up at SeaTac because our flight our flight is scheduled for like 5:20. So of course it'll probably start boarding a little bit before 5. We probably gotta be at the airport before 3 o'clock in the morning. So I've never taken a flight that early. Like our family usually is like a morning flight kind of family, but this is just crazy. Taking a flight that starts at like 3 o'clock in the morning, I will definitely be sleeping on the plane, but we are hopefully getting ourselves an extra hour of sleep by going up and staying at a hotel tonight instead of having to drive up to the airport, and also saves my dad having to drive us to the airport at midnight essentially. So that being said, we are leaving on a Wednesday and we are flying back on the following Tuesday, so we'll be there for almost exactly a week. I'm not sure how much reading I will be getting done, but I am bringing 2 books. I also have a Kindle app on my phone because, like I said, I am very much still kind of slumping, so who knows how much reading I'll do or if I'll be able to stick with one book. Oftentimes when I'm slumping, I tend to like jump around a lot, but these are the 2 physical books that I am bringing with me. This one is actually on my June TBR, but I wasn't feeling anything on my May TBR. My May TBR is dead and gone, pretty much. We did not do well on May's TBR, but this is a queer historical romance, and South Carolina is a lot more historical than Washington. I'm here on the West Coast, so the East Coast has always got more history and older architecture, things like that. Obviously, as someone who was born in Germany and has been to Europe a lot, it's not like that old. It's still America, but it is older, so I figured a historical would be fun, even though this is not set in America because he's a lord, and I don't think there was lords in America. But I'm not sure if I'll start with this one or this one, which is either a young adult or a new adult contemporary romance. We have a 17-year-old who is starting as a freshman in college, which is why I'm not sure what category it goes into, because to me a 17-year-old is still YA, but then college freshman is creeping up onto new adult territory, but essentially this is a queer hockey romance and it is a rivals to lovers situation. So one of these I will probably start either tonight at the hotel, or I might also just go to sleep right away in hopes of getting as much sleep as possible. But I do have how long is my flight? So our flight is going down to Dallas. We're going to Texas, somewhere in Texas, because there's not a direct flight. And then we're going to South Carolina, or technically we're landing in Georgia. But I'm thinking we have about 6 or 7 hours of flight time tomorrow. So I will maybe get some reading done, but I'll probably also try to do some reading. But I wanted to just go ahead and start this vlog. I do think it's gonna be more b-roll than like commentary, because I don't know how much I'll be reading. I'll be with a family, I'll be traveling, all that jazz. But I do want to go ahead and, like I say, document this experience, and I often do that through my vlogs. So that is why we are doing this vlog, and I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope that I enjoy my trip as well. So I will go ahead and check in with you guys later. Next time you see me, I will probably be on the other side of the country. I'm still in love with my ex, and it's just my luck. Wish I didn't care so much, cause me and her don't make sense, and it fucks me up. I'm still in love, but love sucks.
Before you and I, what was hers was mine. And I'm sorry, I swear I thought that my heart was ready, but I can't keep her off my mind, and I'm not alright. I had a thought when I was faded, why they call it love when you hate it. I'm still in love with my ex, and it's just my luck. Wish I didn't care so much, cause me and her don't make sense, and it bugs me up. I'm still in love, but love sucks. Love sucks. Love sucks. Let me lay you in inside my bed, cause I don't really have a lot to say. Take a look in there, tell me if it's anything you wanna fuck with. Probably not, honestly you'll never take a place. When I look at you I see your face. Yeah, 6 a.m. we're taking shots in the morning up on the counter. Like oh my god, had a thought when I was faded, why they call it love when you hate it. I'm still in love with my ex, and it's just my luck. Wish I didn't care so much, cause me and her don't make sense, and it bugs me up. I'm still in love, but love sucks. Love sucks. And I'm sorry, I swear I thought that my heart was ready, but I can't keep her off my mind. And I'm sorry, you want me, I want her, she don't want me, but I can't keep her off my mind. Love sucks. Falling to pieces in my room. Are you coming over? That's cool. I could use a little something to do. Go
I know, I was like, you should cross.
take a little ride if you want to. That's cool. I did what I was supposed to. There's nothing left for me to do. So now I'm walking out my head through open window, cause that's what I feel like.
It looks kind of like a side
Doing tonight, waking up my brain, maybe you can do the same thing. You want me to say something, I come up with nothing. Maybe we can talk until we figure out a time. to say something. I come up with nothing. Maybe we can talk until we figure out a topic. Been so long in my head, caught up in my feelings. I've been waiting for something new to happen. Want me to say something? I come up with nothing. Maybe we should talk until we figure out a topic. Been so long without it, caught up in my feelings. I've been waiting for something new to happen. And when it happens, we'll be dancing on the lawn. When it happens, when it happens, we'll be dancing on the lawn. When it happens, when it happens, we'll be dancing on the lawn. When it happens.
All right, everyone. Hello. Welcome to South Carolina. I am at my mom's cousin's house right now. So far, this is just kind of where we've been. We arrived here around, I think it was kind of around a little after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. South Carolina is about 3 hours ahead of where I usually am over in Washington. Yesterday was an okay day, as much as a day of travel can be. We ended up waking up at 2 a.m. and made our way to the airport. Flights were on time, no issues with that. We went down to somewhere in Texas and then flew into Augusta in Georgia. And then my mom's cousin lives pretty close to the airport, just on the other side of the border in South Carolina. So we are here at their place. It is a beautiful home. I have never been here. They've been living here for quite a while, and you can tell by there's just stuff. There's just stuff everywhere. This is like a home of people that have traveled a lot and just lived a really great life and have just collected souvenirs and whatnot. And they have lots of stuff that they've gotten from friends. They're of the age, I guess, where she's always like, that was my friend, she died. And I'm like, wow. I guess you get to that age where, your family members and your friends start dying and you start going to their houses to help clear up and just end up taking some of their stuff. So they got a lot of stuff here. They also got a lot of animals. I think that the majority of the clips you've seen so far are probably cat related. They have 3 dogs. And cat-wise, so they have the 2 calicos. They have the kind of Siamese one. One of the calicos, Pumpkin, and the Siamese one who's, I don't know if the video captured it, but she's like cross-eyed. Those 2 are my favorite. That's Pumpkin and Pearl. And I absolutely adore them. They say that they are kind of the 2 queens of the castle. The 2 of them kind of compete to be the most affectionate. Well, not the most affectionate. That one belongs to the other calico whose name is, I'm forgetting her name. It was something along the line of like Alice or something. Once you start petting her, she's not going to let you stop. She's going to be like, nope, you're going to be here for the next hour. But Pearl, like when you start petting her, she just starts talking. She's like meowing at you. And Pumpkin, I'm not really sure, seems to have her face isn't like as pointy as you usually expect from a cat. It's giving more of what you kind of see in the cats that have like kitty autism or like kitty dwarfism, but I don't think she has either of those. They said she has glaucoma in one of her eyes, and I noticed that one of her eyes was a little bit more marble like they described it, but they say that the treatment is working really well, and so it's not like it has pressure and they don't need to remove it or anything. It just looks a little different. But yeah, there was those cats. Okay, so that was 2 calicos, the Pearl, our Siamese cross-eyed girl. We had 2 orange cats. There was a tabby. I think there was 2 gray ones, because there was a gray and white one, and then there was a gray one that showed up this morning, and she said that he only shows up for breakfast. So maybe there's like 8. There's like 8 or so cats and the 3 dogs. And yeah, so she often fosters kittens as well. Right now she doesn't have any, unfortunately, but she often fosters kittens, and I guess sometimes they just be staying here. It happens. Honestly, it's like paradise. Just last night we were walking around. They were showing us the property. It's 8 acres. And then I believe they bought an additional 3. They were talking about 3 and maybe 3. So maybe they bought like an additional 6 or so acres. They have a lot of land here. A lot of it is forested. And you saw they have a lot of different buildings. Her husband has a workshop, which was where those motorcycles and that nice old black car was in, as well as the boat that we will be using today to go onto the river. That is what we will be doing today. So we've just been enjoying walking around, all the animals following us around, demanding pets and whatnot. We are more than happy to oblige them with that. We just kind of ate a late breakfast. I was surprised. I woke up a little bit after 8. Like I said, we are 3 hours ahead, so that's technically almost like 5 o'clock in the morning for my brain. However, last night, I think I ended up going to bed a little after 10, and I took my melatonin gummy, and that sometimes makes it a little bit easier for me to sleep like a regular sleep schedule, because I fall asleep more quickly and stay asleep, and so then my body wakes up after 8 or so hours. And so had a good night's rest. This is a pull-out couch, so it is a little bit lumpy, but it's comfortable. And I feel like this room that I'm in is kind of, I think I don't think it's an extension. At first I thought it was an extension, but she mentioned that the older parts of the house don't have as many like electric sockets, and this one doesn't have an electric socket in it, other than I think maybe over there because there's a desk. But either way, it's cooler in here than the rest of the house, so I slept pretty comfortably last night despite the fact that it is definitely warm. So far the humidity, I mean, other than the fact that my hair is looking a little puffy, isn't impacting me too much. I am kind of kicking myself for bringing makeup because I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna wear it, and to be honest. I mean, it's just when it's so hot, the idea of like getting sweaty and just like your makeup running, not really my thing, especially today. I don't think I'm gonna wear it because like I said, we'll probably be on the boat for a good amount of the day. But yeah, that is the life update. Talking about books, yesterday was a little bit of a weird reading day. I think when it comes to airplanes, I do a little bit better with audiobooks, and that's something I might just need to keep in mind for the future, because one, planes can be kind of loud, especially the first plane we were on. It was like unusually loud. I was actually kind of like concerned that there was something wrong with it, but it's just nicer to have kind of my noise canceling headphones on. I ended up finishing the audiobook for A Impossible Imposter, which is the, oh, I forgot to check, either the 5th or 6th Veronica Speedwell book. I want to say the 6th. So I went ahead, and that's by Diana Rayborn. I went ahead and finished that up. I think I gave it a solid 4 stars. I had a good time with it. I didn't enjoy the story as much as some of the others, so that's why I just got a 4-star and not like a 4.5. I have a feeling based off where that one left off that the next book is going to be quite interesting, because it seems like maybe they'll be doing a bit more traveling. They've been pretty consistent with kind of hanging around the England area, and I was hoping they would do a little bit more traveling since they are people who both have careers that allow them to travel. So I'm excited for that. This one dealt a little bit more with Veronica's past, because someone from her past kind of came back into their life. And I mean, it's always interesting to learn more about your characters and everything, but I didn't think that this was like a necessary part of the past or anything. It kind of just felt like the author put that in there to throw a bit of a wrench into her and Stoker's relationship, which I felt a little bit forced. So I didn't love the plot in this book, but I continue to love the characters and the writing and everything. So I had a good time with it. I finished that up on the first flight, I believe, which was the longer one. Then on the second flight, I actually wanted to read, I believe it's called The Night Guest. It's like a really short book. The audiobook was only 3 hours, and our flight was like maybe, I think, an hour and 40 something minutes. And I was like, well, I could finish this because if I listen to it on 2 times speed, but I don't think I let it properly load up before I got onto the flight. And so it actually kind of just stopped playing at some point. I think I am about 46% through the book, and I hope I heard all of it because I was kind of dozing. It took me a while to notice that it wasn't even playing, so I might have to like jump back into the book and be like, okay, did I hear everything, or at some point did I fall asleep? But this is kind of like a short horror story. We have this woman who is waking up every morning and she's like exhausted. She's like, I'm so tired. My muscles are so tired. It's not like that I'm waking up and throughout the night and can't sleep. I'm sleeping throughout the night and I'm just waking up like feeling like I ran a marathon. Like I'm sore and sometimes I have bruises, and she's kind of trying to figure out what's going on. And one thing she decides to do is get this like bracelet that tracks her steps, because one of her friends recommended that getting 10,000 steps a day or whatever and exercising more throughout the day might help her. And one night she like forgets to take the bracelet off, and it shows that she like walked thousands of steps throughout the night, and she's like, what? So that's kind of the point where I'm at, where she has officially realized that she may be doing something at night that she shouldn't be doing. So I'm interested to see where the story goes from here. I fell into the story relatively quickly. It grabbed me. It is translated. I'm trying to remember. I want to say Swedish, but don't quote me on that. I'll double check it later. Yeah, that was just kind of a spontaneous pickup because it happened to be available at Libby and was so short and everything. So I'm having a good time with that, and I'll definitely finish that on the trip some point. Now, as far as my physical books, like I said, I was doing more audiobooks on the plane. I technically tried to start a book on the first flight, but we were approaching the end of the flight, and so, oh my gosh, I put it in the bag wrong. Okay, well, I'll have to put something on that and hopefully it fixes it. But I did start Icebreaker, and when I say start, I mean I read like 6 pages of it, so I don't really have anything to say on it other than letting you know that I do think that this is the physical book that I'm going to start with. I'm not really sure how much reading time I will be having on this trip, so don't count on me reading too much or anything like that, but I did decide that this might be the one I'm gonna go ahead and start with. We are starting with our character Mickey, and he is here at college. He's just kind of arrived. He's being introduced to the ice rink and everything, and he has pretty extreme anxiety, and he's kind of frustrated with that because he's like, everything's going the way it's supposed to be going. I'm at the college I'm supposed to be going to. I'm playing hockey at a really high level. I'm gonna follow my father and my grandfather in their footsteps. And he, despite all of that, is just having a really difficult time, and he doesn't really know why. He's also, like, I don't understand why I can't be happy. I feel like one thing he said that was really relatable, he's like, having depression and anxiety at the same time is like wild. Because on the one hand, my depression makes me just want to lay in bed, but my anxiety is like, we gotta do everything. We've got to do it perfectly, and we've got to go above and beyond. And I'm like, you know what? I luckily don't have depression. I only have anxiety, but like, I know that when I'm burned out and like all I want to do is just like rest, my anxiety is like, absolutely not. So I understand, wanting to do nothing but just like relax and sleep and just like put all your responsibilities aside, and your anxiety being like, see, nah, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna take care of our mental health. We're not gonna do that. So I feel like he's probably gonna be a relatable character. But yes, those are my updates. I am sweating. It really is like humid. I just took a bath because they just have a bathtub, and I always feel like it's so awkward just like squatting in the tub and like trying to like rinse off because they don't have a shower curtain and they have wood floors. And I'm like, I don't want to get water on your wood floors. I'm like, how am I supposed to shower? So I just feel like I'm bathing in a river essentially, because I'm just kind of like rub-a-dub-dub as best as I can. But I'm already feeling kind of damp and sweaty, even though I just got out of the shower or the bath just before I started this clip. But that's just how it's gonna be here in good old South Carolina. We're only gonna be here, I think, one more night, and then we're heading to, are we heading to Charleston? I don't really know. We're heading somewhere else. I'll let you know a little bit more. I'm just kind of going along for the ride at this point, but I'm happy to be here. Been having a decent time so far. Glad that the travel is over because I don't love being in airplanes. I'm gonna be honest. I don't have too much anxiety about it. I do get like a little queasy. Luckily nowadays I don't throw up too much. Used to when I was a kid, like every time I went into an airplane I would throw up, but this time and I didn't. And I think last time I went to Germany I was able to wait until we landed and barf in a toilet. But yeah, no, I'm feeling pretty good, and I'm looking forward to sightseeing and everything, and I will of course take you guys along with me, and we'll see if we have any other bookish updates depending on if I find any time to read. Hi, baby. Just a friendly reminder, this right here is bamboo, and it's noisy. Let's let the wind pass real quick. But this stuff is technically, I think it's considered invasive. This stuff grows like no other. I believe someone planted it before they moved in, and they've been fighting it ever since. If you're thinking about planting bamboo in your yard, consider not doing it. I have yet to come across someone who does not regret it, because it will try to take over for sure, and it's hard to get rid of. So, little public service announcement. I mean, look how high that goes. Woo! Yeah, there's a whole little bamboo forest back here. It makes a nice noise in the wind, but yeah, they gotta chop it back, otherwise it would happily just take over their entire property. So think twice. Come here. Oh, we've attracted another kitty. We've attracted another kitty. This one wants loving. Love-a-dubbin. 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 Hi, baby. He's like, what? Hello? Oh my God. Oh, it's cute.
I don't wanna call you later. You're tearing my heart up like it's paper, and somehow you turn to a stranger. We used to work, now I'm trying to make sure that we're both on the same page. I don't want it to complicate. I know you're riding away. Is there room for us both on the same wave? Nothing breaks so clearly when there's love on the line. My best friend told me someone that I don't even like. There's nothing left to fix if you don't want me to try. Oh, why would I, when you were barely even mine? Oh, why would I should've known from the start that you were a waste of an open bar tab, wiping my feet on the doormat. But there's so much of you that I just can't leave. Yeah, nothing breaks so cleanly when there's love on the line. My best friend told me someone that I don't even like. There's nothing left to fix if you don't want me to try. Oh, why would I, when you were barely even mine? Oh, why
Me!
Morning. All right, so we are on our last day in Savannah, as in we are leaving after breakfast to Charleston. I want to do an update. I technically filmed an update yesterday, but it was a little bit rushed, a little bit awkward, so I think I'm gonna just like cut that and just pretend like this is the second update of the video. So essentially we left Beach Island, South Carolina, to go to Savannah, Georgia. We were in Savannah. We arrived in Savannah the day before. We were there all day yesterday, and then we are leaving a little bit later today. Beach Island, we were at my mom's cousin's place. Beautiful property. She had like 8 cats. I love them all. Pumpkin and Pearl were my favorite. I think I already mentioned that. And we had a really good time there. We ended up going on the Savannah River with their boat, which was a beautiful ride, perfect weather. So far the weather hasn't been too hot here. I have survived. I have currently, after yesterday's adventure, which I'll talk a little bit more about, 21 bug bites. I can't remember the last time I've had that many bug bites. We live on wetlands, so for a while I would get a lot of mosquito bites, but for the last few years they really haven't been that interested in me. So luckily they're not too itchy, but every once in a while they kick in and I'm like, there's 21 of y'all. So that is way too many bug bites in my opinion. But still, we arrived in Savannah, and we arrived kind of in time for dinner. So we went to this delicious restaurant, which was relatively fancy, but the food was like top tier. Like, it's one of those restaurants where the portions are relatively small, or at least it seems small, because me and my sister split an appetizer and a main course, but it was like honestly really filling. It was called Local 1110, like local spelled out, then 11 in numerical numbers, and then 10 also spelled out. So if you're ever in the area and looking for like a fancier restaurant, highly recommend that. And then we just kind of walked around because it was evening, so things had cooled down. Some of the homes here are absolutely stunning. I took plenty of videos of them. Hopefully they all turned out okay, because obviously as we were walking around it was getting darker, and so the film might have turned out not as great, but still so beautiful. Would love to own a home like that. It will never happen, but a girl can dream. So had a really great time doing that. Then yesterday we just kind of got up and went to this bagel place, which was all right. It was pretty decent. It was called what was it called? Spread Bakery, I believe it was, and they like bake their own bagels and everything. So it was a good quick breakfast place. We're kind of restricted with my sister being practically vegan. She's not 100% vegan, but for the most part she doesn't eat meat, like very rarely, a little bit of fish, she'll eat egg and like baked goods, but not like scrambled eggs or anything. So we are a little restricted. This area isn't exactly known for vegetarian and vegan cooking, but that bakery had plant-based cream cheese, which both her and I use because I don't do dairy, so that was really great. And then we went out onto the Savannah River again, but kind of like the wetlands with all the grass, and like it goes into the ocean, and we saw so many dolphins. She said there's usually at least about 500 dolphins hanging out there, but it can get over 1,000 because they come in there and they raise their young, and they raise their young for like, I think she said 3 to 4 years, so they're just chilling. We saw a baby dolphin. I don't think you can quite see him in the videos just because he was a little bit further away. Obviously the mom was probably keeping him kind of farther away from the boat. On the boat it was just me, my mom, my sister, her cousin, and her cousin's friend who owns the boats, and she does like tours, and her 2 female captains, so it was just females. And apparently dolphins prefer boats that have just females on them, so they got pretty close to us, which was nice and everything. They were going down. We saw a few dolphin penises because they were having little orgies. I usually try to make sure that I don't have too many people in the background just in case they don't want to be filmed or anything. But she was like, yeah, they usually have sex in 3s because they use one as a bed. So, you know, they're down and dirty and everything. But we had a great time seeing lots and lots of dolphins, beautiful waterways and everything. That is unfortunately where I got most of the mosquitoes, because we got off on this beach and we were gonna walk to a nicer beach, but we had to walk through this forested area that had a lot of wetland in it, and we eventually just had to turn back because we were like, we're literally being eaten alive. And I didn't think I had it too bad until I got up this morning and I was like, damn. There's 21 mosquito bites, mostly on my arms, and then I have a couple on my chest. And I actually think maybe, I don't know if these are mosquito bites because they kept landing on my forehead, so I might have like 23 if those are mosquito bites, or maybe they're just pimples, I don't know. But yeah, no, yesterday was really nice. And yeah, so today we're going to brunch. The brunch place, I just looked at the menu. I don't know. Unless my sister wants a fucking garden salad for breakfast, which I don't think she does, we may be in a little bit of trouble. But then we're heading down to Charleston. Tonight we are meeting with an old family friend, because a lot of our old family friends have actually moved to South Carolina, so they're coming down to meet us for dinner. Okay, that family, that was the first time I saw someone with a Make America Great oop, got some lipstick. Great Make America Great Again hat. We were kind of like worried that we would see a bunch of like racists around here, but we actually haven't seen that many. I know we're in Georgia right now, which has a big black population, but we haven't seen like any Trump signs or too many red hats, and that was like the first one, and I was like, sir, get out of my sight, I don't want to see you. But yes, we're heading to Charleston, meeting with that family friend, and then after that, I'm not really sure. We don't have any like solid plans or anything like that, but we'll be there for a couple days, and then we will be heading home on Tuesday. Today is Sunday. Today's Sunday. So as far as books go, I told you about the audiobooks that I listened to. Since then, I've read 46 pages. In the last few days, I've not been doing much reading, but I'm still reading Icebreaker. This book, I think that it's really gonna grow on me. Right now, it's giving me a lot of anxiety, just the way that the characters are acting, and also because our character has anxiety, and oftentimes, like, I take on their anxieties, so it's like stressing me out. It's probably not the best book to be reading on a vacation, because I'm like, this is stressing me out, and I want to be relaxing. So maybe I should have read the other book, but I also feel like I am going to enjoy it, and some of the things that the author is talking about. We essentially have a character who is the third member of his family to go to this university, but he's only planning on being there for a year, and then he's planning on being drafted into like the pro hockey team. And a lot of people, like even people on his team, specifically the eventual love interest, is kind of like, you're taking a spot from someone else because you don't have to be at this university, and so someone who wanted to go to this university now can't go to this university because of you, which our character is like, yeah, he's right, but he's being a dick about it, so I'm not gonna tell him that he's right. But you can tell he has a lot of insecurities about the fact, like, do I belong here? Is it my name that brought me here? I gotta prove myself. He seems, I don't know. I don't want to say he doesn't seem like he loves hockey, but he was like, I was essentially bred for this. Like, he has 5 older sisters, and he keeps talking about the fact that he loves his sisters and respects them, and they've accomplished so much, and how frustrating it is for him because no one ever talks about their accomplishments, because all they talk about is him and the fact that his parents had to have 5 children before they could have him. You know, they were waiting for a son kind of situation, and that kind of pisses him off and makes him feel bad about himself, because he's like, excuse me, why are y'all talking about me when you got my sisters out here winning Olympic gold and all these other awards and whatnot? So I do enjoy the commentary that is clearly going to be in here about how men in the sports industry are talked about compared to how women in the sports industry are talked about, and how it's just not seen as like as important, the accomplishments that they make. So that's going to be interesting. I'm also interested to see kind of what he does with his life, because he's like, I don't have any passions. I have like one friend, and hockey is my entire life because that is what I was born to do. And does he love hockey, or is he just good at it? I don't know. So it'll be interesting learning more about him and hopefully seeing him. And I think his name is Jason. That name is popping. His love interest, to see the two of them get closer together. I doubt I will be doing much more reading than I have so far, so even if I only finish this book, that would be a miracle. Honestly, if I left this trip not finishing a single book, I would not be surprised. But that is the kind of mid-trip check-in. I've been having a really great time, enjoying time with my family, enjoying the weather, enjoying the sightseeing, enjoying all the time I spent on the water, not enjoying the bug bites. Some pigeons are going ham. As you can see, I'm kind of... Let's do that without losing my phone forever. But yes, that is my update. I will probably check in with you to wrap up this vlog. So, see you then. am back home, happy to be here. I'm once again ending a vlog with a hair mask in. Is that going to become a regular thing? I don't know, but I wanted to go ahead and wrap up this vlog. We ended up getting in last night a little after 9 o'clock. Happy to be home, happy to sleep in my own bed, happy to see my cats. So weather here in Washington is relatively warm today. I'm sitting in one of the only shady spots in my yard right now because otherwise I would burst into flames. But to wrap up my trip to Georgia and South Carolina, since we did spend time in Georgia as well when we went to Savannah, I think the last time I updated you, we were getting ready to leave Savannah. We ended up going to Charleston for the last couple of days. I would say Charleston was probably my least favorite out of the places that we stayed, which was my mom's cousin's place on Beach Island, and then obviously Savannah. Savannah was my favorite. If you go to South Carolina, Savannah is definitely, well, I guess Georgia, because Savannah is in Georgia. If you go to South Carolina or Georgia, make sure you go ahead and check out Savannah. It was absolutely beautiful. But Charleston was nice as well. We ended up checking out a couple plantations. The wind chime is beautiful, but I feel like it'll be louder than me. So I'm gonna pause anytime the wind blows too much. But we did end up visiting a couple plantations. Those are relatively common around that area. We visited the Boone plantation on the first day. I felt weird about going to a plantation. I've technically kind of been to them before in a school setting. When I went on my trip in 8th grade, we went to like Virginia, and there were definitely, I think, some plantation related things. That was years ago, so I can't 100% remember. I know there was a lot of historical towns, which obviously does unfortunately include slavery, so it was definitely a experience that included a lot of complex emotions for me. I personally don't have any historical familial connections to plantations and like slavery. My family didn't come over to the US on either my dad or my mom's side when all of that is going down. I'm not saying my family's history is good or anything. I'm from Germany. Trust me, I got bad people in my past, like literally everyone, because humans just suck in general. But that doesn't mean that I don't still feel a lot of shame about what white people were doing at that time. So going to a plantation where obviously slavery was occurring can be a little bit uncomfortable. It really brings up those emotions. I wouldn't say that I personally felt guilt, but it definitely kind of brings home the horrors of what was happening. Now, as far as the Boone plantation goes, they, more than the other plantation we went to, focused a lot more on the history aspect of it. There was the main house that we took a tour of, and then there was also a few of the slave shacks that were there, and when you go into them, they have like historical placards that explain like how they lived, and as well as things like how they fought for their freedom, talked a little bit about their culture that they kept. We saw a woman who talked about the Gullah culture that is popular in that area, sang some of her songs and kind of talked about how they kept their culture alive. There was also basket weavers there that I actually have a souvenir of. So this is braided out of sweetgrass, which the Gullah people would use to make a lot of their baskets and things like that. So this plantation, I think, really tried to focus a lot more on talking about what was happening that was bad, but also focusing on the fact that these were human beings and they had cultures and they had lives, and what they did for themselves to save themselves essentially from this terrible situation Was it perfect? Absolutely not. It was still pretty mellow. They did talk a little bit about punishments that the slaves faced. I did understand that this was a public plantation where children could come, so there's probably certain images that they didn't want to display because they can be very traumatizing to see. But I do think that maybe they could have been a little bit more honest about the horrors of slavery. But I do really appreciate the fact that they focused on the Gullah culture a lot, because that is a culture that is still alive and well to this day, and so obviously deserves to be represented in these conversations. I'm always going to be the kind of person who thinks that we need to be faced with her history no matter how ugly it is. So I do see the purpose of these plantations being kept alive. I just think that they could have been a little bit more honest, brutally honest with what was going on. It was a little mellowed out for my opinion, but you know, it is better than what it used to be. It's better than, say, like that plantation building that burned down, where they were talking about like, oh, the master, he wasn't as bad as others because he would buy whole families and keep them together. And you're like, you're literally talking about buying human beings. So this plantation didn't do that, but you know, it wasn't perfect. All right, I have taken the wind chime down. He's laying on the ground in timeout right now because the wind is picking up. The other plantation, I believe, was called the Magnolia Plantation. This one was a little less historical, unless you took some of the tours, which we didn't because we kind of stopped there on the way to the airport. This one was a lot more like a park. It had very beautiful grounds, a lot of gardens, a lot of beautiful old live oaks. There's a lot of live oaks in the Georgia, South Carolina area that are absolutely stunning. I really loved seeing all those beautiful trees. So that one is better for if you want to kind of just walk around all these different paths. There's little lakes or ponds or whatever you want to call them. It's right along the river. So that was nice. I don't know how well they do the historical aspect of it because we didn't check that one out, so I wouldn't be able to comment on that. But other than the couple of plantations we went to, we also just kind of walked around town a little bit. Definitely not as nice as Savannah, but if you're someone who likes churches, Charleston has a church on pretty much every corner. Like, it is crazy. There's so many churches there. I only ended up going into one of them, a very beautiful one. It was a Catholic church. I don't remember specifically which one it is, but I obviously have some videos of it, and I believe I also posted a few pictures of it on my Instagram. I love visiting churches. I always do that when I go to Germany, just because they are so beautiful, the architecture of it and the stained glass. So that was fun. We ended up going to a little market, and I ended up buying 3 earrings. I only have 2 of them because one of them I gifted to my sister for her birthday, which isn't coming up until June, the end of June, but you know, figured I'd get her present there, something kind of fun and unique. But there was someone there selling, oops, these are kind of upside down so you can kind of see her name. This is a pair of sisters who make these earrings. As far as colors, this one I know I will probably wear more, but this blue just really stood out to me, so I wanted to go ahead and grab a pair of those. So those, and as well as my little tiny basket that I showed you. And then I bought a couple dresses that I'm hoping to take to Italy with me. The great thing about shopping in the South is that they have warmer weather than we do here in the Northwest, and so finding clothes for warmer weather like what we'll see in Italy was a lot easier. I wish I could have done more shopping, really, but I did not have room in my suitcase. Like, that was stuffed like a pepper. I had literally 0 room in my suitcase, so I only bought a couple of little summer dresses that I'm hoping to wear in Italy. But yes, those are my souvenirs. That was my experience. I had a really good time. Oh, if you're in Charleston, is this a mosquito bite? you know, I have so many mosquito bites around me that sometimes like they land on my forehead, so I never know if it's like a pimple or if it's a mosquito bite. But anyway, I'm still itching, trust me. But if you're ever in Charleston, just slightly outside of Charleston, we went to a restaurant called the Wild Olive, or maybe just Wild Olive, something along those lines, and it was so delicious. We ended up getting a few appetizers. The calamari was the one that I got, and it was literally the best calamari I've ever had. Sometimes octopus can be like a little bit chewy. This was so soft, so tender, and served with this delicious marinara sauce. And then my sister also got the kind of, it's almost like a little bread platter. It comes with the focaccia and the sourdough, and they have like this little garlic, tomato, onion topping that you can put on it, which was really good. And then my mom and her cousin ended up getting like these little clams, but I didn't try them because I'm not a big clam person. But I dipped some of my bread in the sauce that came with the clams, and it was pretty good. And then pasta wise, we were all relatively happy. I think everyone kind of decided my sister's was the best. It was really good. It was the brigatoni with mushrooms. It had like a bunch of different mushrooms in it because my sister doesn't eat meat. That was really good. I got it starts with a P, but it came with like pork and mushrooms, and that was really delicious. I personally thought mine was the best, but I really enjoyed it. And the best part was that they had vegan gelato. They only had one flavor, which was chocolate, but I would say one of the things that I miss most about when I used to be able to have dairy is the desserts, especially when it comes to ice cream, because nowadays usually I don't struggle too much when it comes to dairy replacements. I mean, any coffee place you go to has oat milk. You know, it's pretty easy for you to get a vegan cheese somewhere, and I also can do lactose free, so I'll do like lactose free sour cream cheese, things like that. Also, I'm someone who can have goat cheese, so it's easy for me to replace like cow-based cheese with a goat cheese. But when it comes to the dessert menu at restaurants, the only thing I can ever get is sorbet. I walk into an ice cream shop, sorbet. I am sick and tired of sorbet. You know, you walk into this delicious ice cream shop and they have like cookie dough and coffee and brownie or dark chocolate with cherry, and they got all these delicious flavor, and you got your raspberry and your mango sorbet. And so when I saw that they had a chocolate based gelato that was made with like cashew milk instead, I definitely had to try it. Super creamy, super rich. I couldn't even finish it. It was literally like they melted straight chocolate. But I was very happy for that, and I'll definitely have to see about increasing my tolerance of like eating actual dairy and taking like a lactose pill, so that when I get to Italy I can have gelato, because I'm not going to Italy and not eating gelato. It's just not happening. So that was my trip. Now let's talk a little bit about reading, because I ended up finishing 2 more books. The first is the audiobook, The Night Guest. I ended up finishing that, the second half of it, on the plane. I kind of finished this book, and there was a part of me that was like, okay, I was kind of falling asleep during the first half because I was reading it on our second flight to Augusta. So I was tired, so maybe I missed something. But then I was like, no, I don't think I've missed anything. And I think the story just didn't work for me. So I do think that unfortunately I have to give this 2 stars, which I don't think I've given anything 2 stars this year. This is probably my lowest rated book of the year. There were definitely parts of it that I enjoyed. Like, I kind of enjoyed the build up of the story. We have this woman, she's realizing that she's kind of sleepwalking, and she kind of tries to take these precautions by locking the door and putting furniture in front of her door, and she wakes up and realizes the furniture has been moved, or that her fingers are bloody from her scratching at the locked door and things like that. And you know, it's giving creepy vibes. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. But then the ending happened, and I'm obviously not going to spoil anything, but I don't get it. I feel, and like I said, just keep in mind, I was kind of asleep while I was reading it. So there's a part of me that was like, did I miss something? But otherwise, it kind of felt like one of those twists where it's a shocking twist because there was no indicator that this was even a possibility. So it feels a little bit lazy. It felt a little bit out there. It was giving one of those like indie film vibes where they're like, oh yeah, this is just like one of those woo-woo endings where you get to interpret it and blah blah blah. And I was just like, no, I just feel like it's weird and not good. So I didn't like that. There's also some stuff that happened that I felt didn't need to happen involving animal abuse and animal death. I still to this point, I'm like, what was the reason for that? So did not like quite a few aspects of the story, especially like with where it went. So would not exactly recommend the story, especially if you're someone who's sensitive to like animal death. I was like, okay. That definitely didn't really need to be in there, in my opinion, but I don't know. I mean, I think I've heard not the greatest things about this book, and I can definitely see why. I think it starts off strong, but the author just loses me in the end. So disappointing, but I did finish that. And I did also end up finishing Icebreaker on the plane. So I'm happy to say I finished at least one physical book on this trip. I read this entire book on the trip, so definitely not a lot of reading, but at least I got some done. I am gonna go ahead and rate this 4 stars. There is quite a few things about this book that I really enjoyed. The mental health representation in this story is really well done. Mickey, is that his name? Yeah, Mickey's experience with anxiety and depression was very relatable at times. I personally don't exactly have depression. I probably have a mild case of it, but primarily anxiety is my issue. And I just felt like what he was going through was very hit home a lot of times. And there were conversations that he had, especially like with his father, and you know, him kind of expressing his feelings about certain things that actually kind of made me tear up. So I think if you're looking for good mental health representation, this is an excellent read. I really related to the fact that he felt a lot of guilt around having mental health issues, because he's like, well, my life isn't actually like bad. I'm not like traumatized. I've had a pretty privileged life, so like, why the hell am I mentally ill? And you know, he's like, I know that my mom who has depression, my friends who are dealing with it, the doctors, the internet, everyone are saying that depression isn't like caused by life events. It's your brain chemistry, and no matter how privileged and wonderful your life is, sometimes you just get depressed. And he's like, I even told my friend, you know, who was talking about that, like, hey, you know, just remember, depression is a chemical thing going on in your brain, so you can't feel guilty about it. But at the same time, he can't take his own advice. He continues to feel guilt about that. And I, as someone who lives a relatively privileged life, and other than, you know, experiencing years of chronic pain, never really experienced any trauma, I'm like, I don't really have an excuse or a reason to be anxious. But at the same time, I just need to realize, like, this is just the way that my brain works. And sometimes there's not always like a solid reason behind it, and it doesn't take away from the struggles that I'm facing with my mental health. And so watching him on his mental health journey, starting medication, starting therapy, accepting the fact that he does have depression and that he can't hide it and battle this alone anymore, was really well done. So really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed the relationships he started building with his teammates. He was someone who often isolated himself throughout his life, and this was the first time he really kind of let himself build a family with his teammates. The relationship he had with a long distance friend of his that he's had for years, and opening up to her, and just allowing himself to be comforted by her, and also the relationship he had with his older sisters. All of that was really well done. The one part that I struggled with a little bit was the romance. I think that the romance felt a little bit underdeveloped for me. There were definitely aspects of it that I really enjoyed. I thought they were really cute together. I thought that they had some important conversations with each other throughout the story, but at the same time I feel like this story is more a focus on Mickey's mental health, on him struggling with being almost at this turning point in his life. Like, he's been working his entire life to this point to get to the, what is it called, the NHL, and he's kind of got to decide if this is even something that he really wants, because he, on the one hand, has been playing hockey his entire life because that's kind of what he was expected to do, and so he's kind of at this turning point of, do I want to go into professional hockey, or do I want to take this opportunity and go to college and have that college experience? What do I want, rather than what do the fans expect of me, the hockey fans? What does my father expect of me? Things like that. He's kind of got to sit down and figure out what he wants. And I would say that's a bigger part of the story. And while the romance really kind of pushes him to start having those conversations with himself, I also sometimes found myself being like, why are these two romantically involved? I do definitely see how the two of them can form a strong bond, a strong friendship, but sometimes I was a little like, romance wise it felt a little bit forced, and that's why I think it just needed to be a little bit more fleshed out so that I could really be like, oh, that is why they like each other romantically. So that was my one complaint with the book, and why I didn't give it a full 5 stars. But 10 out of 10 when it comes to mental health and platonic relationships. The romantic relationship, not terrible, just it could have used a little bit of work in my opinion. So that is my update, and that is me finishing up this vlog with a 25-minute clip. Yikes. And my hair is all crunchy because this hair mask is technically only supposed to be in for like 5 to 10 minutes, and obviously it's been in for like almost half an hour at this point. So I'm gonna go ahead and wash out this hair mask, and hopefully my hair doesn't fall out or anything. I know I won't do that, but still, I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. I know I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed my trip. I enjoyed my reads. Well, not the night guess, I didn't enjoy that, but other than that, guys, thank you so much for supporting my channel by watching my videos, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.